Languages through music. Languages through music. Languages through music. Languages through music.
Around you, there should be a bunch of floating spheres.
Guess I'll see you in the meantime. Maybe we can take a long drive.
Imba is house. You're natural.
Welcome back to the Languages Through Music podcast, which for a very rare and special edition is a video podcast as well, because I'm here with the wonderful Chisomo Banzi, my new friend from the Polyglot Conference Taipei 2025. I'm super excited because Chisomo is a pioneer. He was there with virtual reality, Shona, floating words, floating universes, and today we get to ask him all about it. So welcome, Chisomo. Thank you for making time today.
Thanks for having me. So excited to be a part of Languages Through Music podcast.
Thank you. I'm super excited because just from our brief conversation that we've had in Taipei and here, you're doing so much interesting stuff. So before we get into all that, I usually start with the same question for everybody because I love exploring how music taps into our memory. Do you have an early music memory that you can share with us? What is your first sparkling of a music memory?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always admire people who can remember clearly their first memories, like really clearly. That's probably not me, but I do remember learning piano quite young, around 6 years old. Then that is probably the first time that music, I can clearly remember it stopped being like a purely background sort of thing and more of a thing I'm actively engaging in and thinking about and yeah, diving into. So there's some cute photos of me at 6 with the keyboard, blasting out some,
In a
you
little
know,
suit?
I had a little skivvy polo because it was cold down in the snowy mountains in Australia where I grew up, and then yeah, I've played a lot of like 12 bar blues and just simple songs that kids learn and stuff. But yes,
That's the only one I achieved on the piano.
yeah, but it's
Amazing.
amazing for like development and learning and education. I think I got a big ups to the parents for paying for piano lessons very early.
Yeah. And what was your early language scape? Because your family's from Zimbabwe and Malawi, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
what were you speaking at home, at school? Were you introduced to another language? Was it obligatory? What age were you exposed to a second language?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So I guess it's fairly interesting. I was born in Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
and my family, primarily when I was like, 1 to 3, we just spoke Shona in the house.
Hmm.
So Shona was actually my first language, Shona being the main language of Zimbabwe, the largest indigenous language there. And when I was 3, we moved to Australia, to Sydney. And yeah, pretty much, we just spoke English at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my parents really wanted me to assimilate, to get along, make friends, all that good stuff, to do well in school. So they kind of pushed English pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of without knowing it, I had forgotten Shona at some point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and that was something that sort of to this day, as an adult now, I'm relearning Shona and trying to delve back into the community, into the language a bit more. So that was one side of things. And, Australia otherwise is a fairly, I don't know, I think English is pretty ubiquitous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with peers, it was all English. In school, I think my school offered like French and I think French and was the sort of language in primary school that I had,
Mm-hmm.
sort of available. And then in high school, there was a few more options. There was French and Chinese, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, sort of from that point, there was maybe more exposure to Asian languages from high school going forward.
Okay, that makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to me when you're that far away and learning French in Australia. Like another guest I had recently, who I'm gonna share her podcast this week. She's Ethiopian living in California, and she was telling me how in California, like at school, it was German. I'm like, why is it?
Yeah,
Why? Why?
it's
Both
interesting.
physically are nearer to Mandarin, like or Japanese, or like, why are you learning German and French? Why are we
Absolutely.
learning German and French?
I
I
think
don't understand.
Australia at its core still somewhat believes it's a European country. Like we're in Eurovision, as I'm sure you would know as a musician. So, and people, it's a cultural thing. And I never
Yeah.
understood French because there's like no French neighbors close to us that are like that
Yeah.
relevant. But,
Yeah.
I guess it's
That's so
interesting.
interesting. Did you take French? Did you take Mandarin? Because I heard you in Taipei reel off some very impressive Mandarin.
Indeed. So in primary school I took French, I'm pretty sure. But you know how it is. Like you kind of just take it for the
Frère
class. And
Jacques, frère Jacques.
exactly. You kind of just sing the basics. I forgot how to do like the head toes one. I forgot it all as soon as I like
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, I hear
um,
that.
but in middle school, I'd say that's where it got a little bit more interesting. I took Chinese for a few reasons. I think there was a general sense, China was like kind of coming up in the world, and there was a general sense that it was going to be a relevant and useful language for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that was part of it. But the other thing is the class itself at my school was just like easier than the French class. Like I kind of
Okay.
I could see in the French class they were just like grinding out grammar tables every day and doing the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
verb
yeah.
conjugations and all
Crying,
that stuff and
crying
crying,
into their
you
little
know,
Larousse.
yeah, crying French tears, you
Yeah.
know. And then in the Chinese class, would play some games and would just watch Kung Fu Panda with subtitles. And I was like, you know what?
I can I can get with this.
I can get
I can
around
get.
this. But it was great. I mean, inadvertently, I think there was a lot more play in that class and
Mm,
just exposure and sort of just having fun with it. Um, we looked into some poetry by like famous Chinese poets. Ooh.
there seems to be a
Um,
blackout for the first time ever in my little
wow.
work office. Yeah, okay. All
Amazing. It
right. China's
immediately
listening.
resolved. That's yeah. True. Yeah, so yeah, there's been a Chinese poetry exposure, and I just sort of got an appreciation of the culture at that point. And then I started self-studying and I just started
Yeah.
going hard, doing like yeah, just watching a lot of Chinese kids TV. We used to watch Peppa Pig all the time in Chinese. That was
Okay, okay. There's nowhere we can escape from Peppa Pig on this
there's
planet,
no
I don't
way.
think.
But it's effective. That
Yeah.
did the trick. So
I think I
um
watched Shrek in Tigrinya like twice to try and help boost my Tigrinya skills. And
that's
it
so good.
did, to be
Is
fair.
was it just
Yeah.
as amazing to watch in Tigrinya as it
It
was
was
in English?
hilarious to watch it in Tigrinya. Like also when you're not used to seeing your heritage language or culture
Yeah.
present in kind of popular, Western media, it's always like, oh my God. Like I remember when The Simpsons got lost in Little Ethiopia in one episode then all of a sudden they were eating injera and like Ethiopian food in a restaurant, which ironically was called Haile's restaurant. I was like, oh my God, this,
That's
my culture's on the Simpsons, because
yeah.
you're not used to seeing it.
It's always a little bit odd, a little bit like, whoa, even in Australia, people are always like a bit weirded out when they see Australia in like Hollywood movies or on TV and stuff.
Mm,
Because it's
that's
always
not
like,
like the
whoa,
stereotype of like
yeah,
spiders and sharks and
spies and crocodile hunters and, riding my kangaroo to school and everything.
yeah. I remember my French class in where were we? Yeah, I think it was in Jordan. So I lived in Jordan for 4 years, and we had a pen pal exchange with like kids in France. And we would
Mhm.
just be rolling on the floor with the questions they were saying, like, do you live in tents? Do you live in the desert? Like, are there camels in your house? Like, just the craziest things. You were like, wow, internet has helped with this knowledge, but not
Yeah,
all the way.
not
But
all the
yeah,
way. Yeah, no, it is amazing. It's kind of telling though, but we still have some ways to go.
so far. But you're creating whole new virtual realities. So it's funny. Today, when I was out, I heard that song, this old Jamiroquai song, "A Future Made of Virtual
Virtual
Insanity." Yeah,
reality.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, this song, when it came out, I was like 13. And I remember hearing it in Eritrea. And yeah, anyway, so your main languages are
In
Chinese, English,
languages,
Shona.
yes, I would say so. I'd say my Shona is I'm putting as much work as I can, but
Yeah.
I would count it in the big three. But I really would love to learn Portuguese. That's like
Okay. How
the next
come?
mission. Many reasons. For one, my grandfather was from Mozambique.
No
So
way.
yeah, there you go, old Portuguese
Okay.
colony. And I'd love to go back and sort of trace the family lineage, the heritage, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so that'd be cool. And Mozambique, I feel like it has potential. It has some beautiful beaches. It looks like it could be a
Yeah.
vibe. Travel there,
I've
good
been
music.
yeah, I've been twice for work, for
Ah,
teaching work. And so I
nice.
didn't get outside of the capital, but I thought it was beautiful, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So what music for you is your favorite? Do you listen to lots of different
Ooh.
styles? Do you listen to music in all the languages? Or,
Mm.
did you ever consciously use music? You used film with Kung Fu Panda at least, but have you ever consciously used music in your language study?
Absolutely. Oh man, for sure. I think particularly with Chinese, again, that was
Mm,
like I think I don't know what at some point I'm pretty into sort of like R&B and like hip hop and rap music, but as
mm-hmm,
well as like jazz and like indie music as well, the indie
mm-hmm.
pop. Um, and I discovered, a few Chinese artists that I sort of really vibed with and really like, just liked their flow and their style of music. Um, so who came to mind? Like yeah, in Sichuan, in like Chengdu province of China, um, there's a really solid underground like rap scene. So
Cool.
sort of from there, like, yeah, I sort of discovering some interesting artists. Um, in Beijing as well, there's a really solid like underground music scene. And I think they first became like clear to me when in 2016 I won this like there's this competition called the Chinese Bridge Competition, and it's this global thing
Okay.
that happens. And essentially, they get like there's a university branch and there's a high school branch. So I was in the high school
Yeah.
branch at the time, um, and you compete basically by it's like a Chinese proficiency test and like a culture like performance type of thing. You have to give a speech, you do some exam, and then you give a performance, and then they like compare you and they rank you, compete against all these other people. So your boy ended up winning in Australia, at least one of the groups in Australia. So
Yo!
that was a really cool event because it then meant they'd pay you all expenses paid to go to China and
Yo!
sort of compete on the international stage against like 96 different other countries, I think. Like,
In terms of language or in terms of.
in terms of Chinese, in terms of Chinese
Okay, so
language.
like speaking, writing, everything, like reciting, what, how do they test you?
So it was like similar format. Those, yeah, it was interesting. So it sort of was structured like a game show, and it was even televised
Okay.
on CCTV.
What? Are you a
So it was like a,
celebrity in China?
oh man, that is. Luckily, the high school one doesn't get as much clout as the university one, but it was a really awesome experience because, like, suddenly you're just meeting, like, it was like two people from all these countries, all these incredible language learners who are also young and who are like really switched
Mm.
on. You'd give a speech, like in your sort of language, and you do a sort of paired sort of skit type of thing with the second place person or the first place person, like you kind of
So
be a
you're
team.
out here acting in Chinese on national television.
It was the most terrifying thing I did
Get
in my
out
teenage years.
of town! That's
Easily.
amazing.
That took the cake for the most scary situation ever, but
But
it
that
was
set you up for
awesome.
life because after that you're like, try me. What you got?
Exactly,
I'm not scared
exactly.
of you.
And it's like, come on, like, is that all you got? Please, like, for real.
Portuguese for
So
you is gonna be like walk in the park.
I'm excited. I'm really keen to learn it. But yeah, Chinese, like that's from that point, and then also because we're in China traveling around, China doesn't get, it's not like a immigrant nation in the same way that like
Mm.
Australia and some of these other places. So a lot of the places we're going to, I was clearly like the first black person a lot of people were meeting.
Wow. So you were touring around the country.
We're touring around kind of. We went to Beijing and then we went to Yunnan province. So sort of the
Okay.
southernmost, very sort of Southeast Asian vibe there.
Yeah.
Um, People were generally cool, but a lot of people would assume that I was like, like a rapper or in the music game
Obama.
or yeah, like politician. I guess it was basketballer or rapper were like the big two.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but the great thing about being people think I was a rapper was I got a lot of great music recommendations.
Okay.
So
That's so funny. My poor boyfriend, when he's in Thailand, he gets, "Good morning, Tiger Woods," and he's just like, "Oh my gosh."
you gotta roll with it at that point. Is he good at golf?
No, he's well, not that I know of, unless he has a secret golfing past.
Secret.
But
Hey,
yeah,
hey, who
that's
knows?
so
Maybe he's
funny. So people were
yeah.
giving you Chinese rap
They were just
recommendations because
dropping
you
these.
were the only black man in the village.
I was the only black man in the village, and they thought finally, especially because hip hop's also, especially now, become huge in China. So
Yeah.
I think people just read. They were like, man, it was like a big thing for some people. Um,
Yeah. That's
and
so
they would
cool.
it was cool. They shared so much. And then from
Yeah.
that point, I used to just like sing along to like Chinese rap music, and that really
Okay.
improved my flow, my intonation, just my control in the language. So yeah, the music as a way of learning languages, I wholeheartedly like agree.
Yay.
It's
I don't know if
such
you
a
met
span.
Kathy at Kathy Cow at her Chinese name is Pei Fen. She was at the conference
Mm.
and she's actually a translator and she translated a whole book about Taiwanese hip hop.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, she was just on the podcast, so I will share her book with
Amazing.
you. It's called like Renegades of Taiwanese hip hop or something. I will check that out because I need to read that too. It
Yeah, that'd be
looks
awesome.
super interesting. So this could end up, being a whole national TV series if I ask you all the questions I want to ask you today. But
Yeah, that's
we're going to leave something for 2026. So I'm going to
smart.
summarize what I've understood so far so that I can then pass it to you to present your amazing Speakeasy 3D. So from
Cool.
what I understand, you went from architecture to set design for films, which was like a kind of happy surprise because that wasn't exactly what you planned to do. You were architecting and then found yourselves
Mhm.
on various film sets. And then AI comes in, and then the turbulence around 2020 and the actors' strikes and whatnot. So you find yourself kind of pivoting, leaning more into your computer skills. And you travel around Southeast Asia for a while. avoiding London, good shout. Avoiding avoiding the States, good shout. Keep it on on this side of the planet. And then you find yourself in Taipei, super cool city from my two very brief stays there. And you've only been in Taipei 6 months, but it seems like you have a whole community. You run this language arcade bar, which is the tech and gaming language meetup. And you've somehow, in that short space of time, started this whole VR thing with Speakeasy, and you already have Shona and Chinese. And I'm just going to turn it over to you. Tell us about Speakeasy 3D.
Awesome, for sure. That was an incredible recap, by the way. I feel like
I try.
you know my life story better than I do. So yeah, so Speakeasy 3D, that's the flagship project I've been working on for the past couple of years. Sort of since that writer strike, AI boom, initial days sort of period. Um, I actually started learning Portuguese then, and
Hmm.
I was living in Melbourne. There's not many Brazilians or Portuguese speakers or Portuguese people or anything. Um, and I thought, I'll just love to have some tooling that I could use to like practice speaking until I get like at that level where I'm good enough to like, I'm like pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it would be also incredible to use those same tools to relearn Shona and to reclaim my sort of family connection and
Heritage
heritage.
language. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I started using the skills I had, which was in, 3D development and 3D modeling and coding. And I thought, it would be awesome if I could like in VR practice conversation with different characters in different situations, right? So started working on it. It turned out to be such a mountain of, I underestimated how big the journey would be between
It's good
idea
that you
and
didn't know at the
execution.
beginning. It's good that you didn't know at the beginning because you might have gone, "What the? I'm not. No,
Absolutely. I don't
run."
think
I
I would.
find that I find some with some projects. I'm like, if I'd known how much work I'd have to put, I wouldn't have been. So it's good you
I
didn't
don't
know
think
because otherwise we wouldn't have it.
absolutely. Naivety is like such an asset because I think I
Yeah.
would have stuck with film and just not even tried because wow, both from the business side and from just the technical development itself. Um, but it's come a very long way. So now in its current form, Speakeasy 3D is sort of made up of two different products or components. Number one is called Constellations. It is what you tried at Polyglot Conference. So essentially, it's a 3D space repetition learning system. Essentially, like if you've used Anki or any flashcard app before, it's like a 3D
Yeah.
spatial flashcards. So that is what I've primarily been working on in the past few weeks, and that's what we're pushing to launch by the end of this year.
Amazing.
So that
Now that you know it's clear from Mercury retrograde.
indeed, yes. Now that we're safe, I
Now
think
that you've learned about Mercury retrograde, you know when not to go launch.
yeah, that was I'm getting a star advisor, an astrology advisor, a consultant for the future because phew, that was a close call. So yeah, that's the first part. Constellations. So that is like an open platform where you can essentially use it to learn like a very wide range of languages. Um, so I've been using that, in my developer mode to learn some Portuguese, to learn some Shona, and I'm exploring opportunities here in Taiwan to use it for preservation and learning of indigenous Taiwanese languages. So that's the sort of next step I'm trying to push towards. Um,
That's cool
currently,
because it seems like there's
sorry.
such support. It seems like there's such support for indigenous languages in Taiwan. Like at the conference, we had all those presenters on the 16 indigenous languages. So it seems that you already have like potential partners or audience or government support that would be
100%,
really
100%.
enthusiastic about your
Yeah,
work.
they're investing a lot into it, and it's interesting. I guess it's almost existential in terms of Taiwan's national identity. They seem to be looking quite heavily at promoting and engaging with the indigenous nations that live here in Taiwan. as a differentiator and as a sort of a thing that makes them sort of distinct and interesting compared to sort of geopolitically. So there's a lot of money going in as far as grants and just a lot of interest from Taiwanese and from the
Yeah.
indigenous community itself. So yeah, I met
So
some
how
amazing
would it?
people there at Polyglot related to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I'm curious how it would work. So Constellations is something that people would download, or is it the physical setup? You're talking to a
Yes.
low tech auntie here.
No, for sure. So, I mean, I'm happy to also sort of give you a walk through it in a minute as well.
Yeah.
You get to try it out. Thanks for being one of my early beta testers and for
Happy to be a
bearing with
guinea
me.
pig for the future of language learning.
Awesome.
Not a problem.
Yeah, so how it works, it's an application. You download it. Currently, it's like for VR, so you do have to have either a VR headset, or like a Quest, or maybe you can run it on a PC and route it into your headset. But you have to have a VR headset at the moment. Um, but in the future, it will be available and on iPad as well. So if
Oh
you have
wow.
an iPad or maybe even a desktop computer, you can go in and have a look and also be able to track your sort of visualize your language learning progress in like a visually pleasing and an interesting way.
And you're
Um,
moving when you have the headset on because you have to grab the words and pull the translations towards you and
Indeed, indeed.
really
So
cool.
I think it touches on a few interesting memory sort of theories and sort of ideas, both about like the sort of spaced repetition learning like system, but as well as the whole memory palace technique. Um,
Yes.
yes, so our brains remember positions in space and locations so much better than they remember lists of data and vocabulary. So it's trying to help create those connections. And then, like you said, there's the kinesthetic part of it. Like you do kind of get a little bit like physically engaged when you're using it, um, which creates longer lasting connections and memories. But the other part, and this is sort of the vision or like where I see it going. And again, this is definitely easier to explain after showing it. Um, but I wanted to eventually be a sort of like Beat Saber for language learning. I don't know if you played Beat Saber before.
Nope. I
It's
stopped at like
like
Super Mario Brothers. Like I'm born in
okay,
the
well,
80s, my friend.
all right. Well, it's a music rhythm game in VR.
Okay.
It's very much like Guitar Hero or like the Dance Dance Revolution game that you play at arcades.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So something where it's more about like currently it's sort of kinesthetic in a way that it's like at your own pace and stuff. But I'd like to have modes where it's like more to like a beat or more to like rhythmic
I
and
don't
musical.
remember because there were so many people in that conference room and it was so loud in there. Was there sound? I remember the visuals really
Hmm.
clearly, but I don't remember if there was any sound.
So not really. I mean, there at the current moment, it's like, there's just sort of like ambient, like, atmospheric sounds. And when you grab one of like when you're actually revising a word, it'll play the pronunciation of that word to you. Um, Unfortunately, at Polyglot, Mercury was Mercurying, and that wasn't working.
At least now you know a reason why.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. Like I've never seen so many coincidences line up to convince me of astrology like that. So, that was significant. But yeah, currently it's really more like a spatial flashcard app. So like it's only sort of atmospheric sounds, but in the future I can see it playing more like a rhythm game or more like a music related language game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How can we experience this or share this experience on the Zoom?
Yes. So I can share my screen. I think
Okay,
that may
awesome.
be the go.
Let me, you
Um,
should be able to share.
let's see more. Um, let's figure technology share. I found it. All right, Awesome. Let's go Unreal. So this is the behind the scenes. It's not out yet. So I'm still, I'm still doing the thing. Let's see what happens if I do that. Can you see that? Can you see anything?
It says start to screen share. Oh yeah, I can see it.
Ah, nice. Cool. Let me just load it up. Cool. So here you are in your sort of, language stage where you'll be, doing your language learning practice. So uh,
Wow.
essentially, yeah, you come here, you load in your decks from, you can load in decks directly from Anki or from just an Excel spreadsheet or like whatever. And you can sort of see all the different decks you want to practice. Um, and each of those will have pronunciation and um, the translations along with them, some basic ways to sort of customize and change those up. But and then you'd be able to export those back to your other flashcards. Um, so essentially, you can just do your practice on your desktop, on your computer, or on your phone, however you're already doing it. But if you want to have like a dedicated, session where it's like, all right, I want to learn, 10 words in the next 30 minutes, you can put on the headset and sort of get into it. So if you dive in, currently there's just like the one spaced repetition based learning setup. So, go into daily review. You can pick a different language. Say you want to pick what's a good one? Let's go with Shona. And you can start your practice. It'll show you like, okay, you have 4 words to revise right now, but you have 6 words that you haven't started learning yet. So, that first we'll do the revision phase. So it'll load up. And essentially what you had to do, so imagine this is in VR, you would have to use your hand and grab one of these. So you'd like physically grab the word. In this case, I'll just like press a button. Where is it? Here. So imagine I'm grabbing this word, right? And rotate around my hand. Then you can either like speak it, uh, or there's a way to manually select. But if you say, um, like moro, then it should boom um, change into like a completed state, and essentially you can self it's testing your pronunciation and your
Yeah.
understanding of the meaning in this one, but you can also self sort of assess and be like, okay, do I actually remember this? Does it actually you know um, exist in my memory? And if it doesn't, then you just say like, oh, incorrect, and then it will just and the whole spaced repetition idea is that the words you know best will come up the like less often, and the
Yeah.
words you struggle with will come in like every day, every other day, like pretty much more frequently.
That's
So
so cool. I love the cosmos and the people there at the desk with their hand on their head.
these old guys doing the ancient ways of studying, they don't even know that there's a better way. It's tough out here,
Got to get cosmic.
Facts. So
Amazing.
once you complete like a phase, then your round completes, and then it'll load up the next phase, which will be in this case learning new words. So um, here, essentially, you have to either pronounce them right 3 times or just like complete them 3 times, and then they'll be completed and added to like your active set of words, and those are scheduled to come every like day or second day or week or however long it takes based on your mastery of them already. And yeah, so this is essentially doing this on the phone is how I managed to rack up like you know thousands of Chinese characters and learn tons of words on mobile. So this is supposed to essentially be another layer of that's a bit more
Yeah.
engaging, a bit more immersive. And
That is so cool.
thanks so
I
much.
love
Yeah,
it. It was so cool to try it out on the headset as well. And I think it really speaks to, you know, people who have really grown up as well in this virtual realities and gaming, and it's fun, it's different.
Yeah, I think, at least it's just a way of switching it up and trying something a little bit different. Yeah, and it's also largely one of those things that you build because you just personally would love it to exist and personally just love to
Exactly.
use it.
There's a
Yeah.
wonderful Toni Morrison quote, and I believe it's Toni Morrison. She says, if there's a book that you want to read that doesn't exist yet, you have to write it.
So does that mean there's two books that don't exist that you're currently
Exactly. So even though I'm cursing myself for having started, now I have to finish. And then when they're done, I'll be like, now those books are out in the world. I can get back to just learning the languages I want to learn
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm
in
really
this
keen to
virtual reality.
absolutely. So this will be out sort of by the end of the year, pushing to launch this week, and then there'll be a process to get on the Quest store or on the Steam store as well. So
What is
um
Quest Store and Steam Store?
great questions. So so can you see me? I might stop
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, yeah. I can see you.
Oh great. So Quest VR headset. It's the leading VR headset platform sort of in the market today. So,
Okay.
if many people already have it for gaming or for, even like productivity. I use it as my monitor setup here in my space, just as like a, multi-monitor sort of VR situation. Um, so you can download if you have this, you can just immediately download it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the push is to have it working reliably on desktop and iPad as well. Especially on iPad, I think it's going to be really special.
Yeah.
Just the touch-based controls work really nicely
I'll
for this
pretend
sort
I
of
know what that
idea.
means. What is the touch-based control?
Just like using your phone or something like
Okay, okay, okay.
tapping and grabbing compared to like a keyboard and a mouse is just way more intuitive and human. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of faith. It's gonna be cool.
Congratulations. Congratulations, my brother. That is so cool. That is so,
Ah,
so amazing.
thanks so much. I think it's gonna be special. It's gonna be really cool when it's out. I'm keen to, if you're down to test again in the future
Yep.
after the launch, that'd be
I'll come back
amazing.
to Taipei because I don't have a headset.
Easy. Well, I'll be happy to, show you around, show you all the good music spots here as well.
Amazing. I will hold you to that. But for now, thank you so much for sharing this and sharing
No, all
this
good.
on the Languages to Music channel as well. And any Chinese hip hop recommendations that you love, please send and I will add them to
Ooh,
our podcast playlist.
for
And also,
sure.
I will include all the links to Lab and to Speakeasy3D so that people can find out more about how they can get involved with Constellation or Constellations.
Constellations. Yes.
Constellations. Speakeasy 3D Constellations. You
Yes.
are the future. You are the future.
We
Speakeasy
are the
3D.
future.
We are amazing. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks so much
so
for
much,
having
Chisomo.
me. So
Remind
such
me
a
how I
pleasure.
say thank you in Shona.
You can say Maita Basa.
One more
You can
time.
say Maita Basa.
Maita Basa. That's actually in the floating thing, I remember, right?
Yes. Yes. So
Maita
there you go.
Basa. Hey, spatial recognition,
They just already
baby.
mapped it, already
Maita
speaking
Basa.
it. Yeah. Thank you so
Xixi.
much. Xie Maita Basa.
Obrigada.
Obrigado.
Thank you so much. And I'll put in all the links. And I wish you happy, safe travels around Australia. And when you get back to Taipei or to Bangkok, I'm happy to be guinea pig again for this amazing futuristic initiative. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for
Take
having
care,
me. Talk to you later.
Chisomo. Ciao.
Languages to music.